How do you manage feelings of rejection? Hi, I'm Dr. Catalina Lawson, and I'm a clinical psychologist. And while I'm doing a sailing race, I thought I'd make some videos. So now let's get to how you actually can begin to manage feelings of rejection. Again, keeping in mind that all of us are going to be rejected or feel disappointment at some point of our lives, regardless of who you are, what your background is. So, first and foremost, if you are easily triggered and rejection is the feeling, that particularly underlying rejection is often a sense of betrayal. If that's what your experience is, very first step is noticing it. Noticing how often this is happening. When is it happening? Because oftentimes when it happens, we actually aren't triggered too much. And I'm actually going to show you we actually aren't. It doesn't have to be something big that actually triggers us. Instead, what often it is that they're actually pretty everyday incidences where we will feel rejected. So, for instance, maybe someone was late to come meet you, you may start to say, "Oh, I feel like they don't prioritize my time." You may get upset. So one of the first ways to begin to manage these feelings is first by just noticing them. Okay. Keeping in mind, when we experience negative feelings and react, however we react, either aggressing, avoiding, or going a bit numb, distancing, all of those reactions are strategies. And reactions also include how we think, okay? All of those are now strategies to protect ourselves. So keeping in mind that when we feel rejected, oftentimes we are getting triggered to some really harsh, really scary, negative core memories and beliefs, okay? Often tied to feelings of abandonment or betrayal. And so when we feel rejected, the first step is notice it. When you're noticing it, take a deep breath and notice what's happening to your body. Are you feeling tense in your neck? Are you grinding your teeth? Is your heart palpitating? Are you feeling smaller? Are you slumping? Do you just immediately want to just be alone? What is your experience emotionally, physiologically, behaviorally? What actually is happening to you? Begin there so that bit by bit you can actually then begin to control, okay? Because the next things you're going to control are, first and foremost, your physiological arousal. Now, we can either be upregulated or downregulated, and I'm going to talk about this in another video. But basically, what you want to do is try and stabilize that arousal, okay? Oftentimes, most people get upregulated and experience increased heart rate, even though they don't externalize it. But they'll start noticing that they'll feel tension. So your body may get aroused, okay? Begin to notice that. Begin to notice what that experience is. And again, noticing also how your energy has shifted. Are you feeling weaker? Are you feeling more powerful? And I'm not just talking about energy fatigue-wise. I'm talking about how you begin to feel less or more whole, okay? So begin to notice what your experience is. That's the first thing. Next, then begin to look at what thoughts automatically come up. Oftentimes the thoughts that are going to be the most threatening and the most debilitating have an I in front of them, okay? And those are also generally the low-hanging fruit, I call it, of automatic thoughts. Those are our go-tos. Oh, I'm not important enough for somebody to care to be on time. Oh, I'm never going to find love. Oh, I don't deserve love. Or, oh, I can't ever I'll never be able to rely on my sibling, or I'm never going to have friends. They tend to have an I, and they tend to be overgeneralized, these thoughts. And what you want to begin to do is actually control, not necessarily just let go of these thoughts, because that doesn't work. Oftentimes you hear people just say, oh, let go, be calm. Well, unfortunately, that is one reaction, but it actually isn't an effective reaction. What you want to learn is actually how to control, neutralize those thoughts so that they aren't so overwhelming and they aren't so big. Okay? Then you begin to choose how you want to respond. And I'm a big believer that there's always 3 options. Generally, you can either distance yourself consciously, not necessarily just run away, but enforce boundaries and distance, or you can aggress, but there's always a middle ground. And that's the thing, is figuring out what that middle ground is for you. So always come up with 3 options, okay? And I think they're jiving, so I have to go. But so first and foremost, heighten your awareness to what you're feeling. Secondly, begin to notice what thoughts come up in your head, and then also look at how you're responding and come up with 3 options of how you could respond, and begin experimenting how to choose each one. I'll keep breaking each of these steps down, but this is just an overview. All right, I hope this was helpful. I'm always open to any feedback or questions, comments. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and have a super sunny day, guys. Cheers. Bye.